A few weeks later, I was sitting on the balcony in this apartment, crying, and I thought, what am I going to do? And I had my phone, and I looked at the weather, and it was plus 25 in Bucerias. And it was minus 25 in Calgary, in a blizzard, and wind, and everything. And I thought, if I go back there, I'm going to wind up on the 6th floor of Foothills Hospital, which is the psych ward. I knew I would. I knew I couldn't survive there in the winter. I thought, okay, I'm going to stay with the program and stay here.
Hi, I'm Luisa.
And I'm Michael.
And we're Retired Life Mexico. Today we had the opportunity to interview Judith in Bucerias.
It was an amazing interview.
And we really appreciate her taking the time out. But be sure you stay to watch about how she talks about her accident that she had. Oof.
Amazing.
She's
scary.
Yeah, and she's blessed to be alive after that. But she's got a great story, and she's 79 years old. I think you'll enjoy it, so stay tuned.
My name is Judith Dutton, and I'm Canadian from Calgary, Alberta. And I have lived here in Mexico, in Bucerias, for 8 years. My late husband and I started coming down here in about 2015, and we first came for a month in Guayabitos, Vegas, but we fell in love with Bucerias. We loved the culture, the atmosphere. By then we knew maybe 20 words of Spanish, and loved the beach. So, okay, that was fine. So we talked and decided, okay, let's give it a try. Let's do it for 16 months. So we found a rental on the east side for 4 months, and then we found a place here in this community for a year. So that was all good. So the next November, we decided to come down. I had done all the work to apply for temporary residency. We got our stamps and our visa in Vegas because we couldn't get an appointment in Calgary. It was impossible. Got down here. Partway down, my husband became very sick. He was in agony. We went through a whole hospitalization in Vegas, a hospitalization in Phoenix, and we got here, and everything was okay until the 15th of December. And then all of a sudden, this agony came up again, and he woke me up at midnight and said, I can't deal with this pain. I've got to go to a hospital. So CMQ wasn't open yet, so I drove into PV to Hospitan. Got him in there, and unlike what had been done in Vegas and Phoenix and Calgary, they did a proper biopsy and cystoscope. I won't go into the details. But anyway, that night, the urologist said, come with me. I want to show you the video I took inside his bladder. And it was all full of what looked like clouds. And I said, Doctor, what is that? He said, that's some kind of cancer. And he said, we don't know what it is, but we have sent a biopsy to Guadalajara and we'll have the results in a few days. Well, my husband had a very aggressive, very rare form of bladder cancer. And they told him he was not going to survive. There was no treatment. I got my sons to come down here. I have 3 grown sons. They were all here. And they told him he would last for 5 more days. Oh. There was no Christmas. He lasted 6.5, and he died on January 2nd, 2018, here in Hospitan in Puerto, Vallarta.
Sorry to hear that.
It was awful. We'd been together for 31 years. Super wonderful man, solid, kind, loving, nice, much more calm than me. So went through all of the death business, cremation, which other than running around to 5 different offices and not knowing Spanish at the time, only a little bit, got it all done. So a few weeks later, I was sitting on the balcony in this apartment, crying. And I thought, what am I going to do? And I had my phone and I looked at the weather, and it was plus 25 in Bucerias. And it was minus 25 in Calgary in a blizzard and wind and everything. And I thought, if I go back there, I'm going to wind up on the 6th floor of Foothills Hospital, which is the psych ward. I knew I would. I knew I couldn't survive there in the winter. I thought, okay, I'm going to stay with the program and stay here. I'll be happier crying on the beach. So that's what I did. And that's why I'm here.
Wow.
Well, I live in a gated townhouse community. It's not new. It's about 20 years old. I have a small place. It's just over 1,000 square feet. I have 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bathrooms. It's small. It hasn't been renovated. The furniture's old, but it's comfortable. I have air conditioning in the living dining room and all bedrooms, and a nice back patio and a nice front patio. And I'm paying 12,000 pesos per month, which is about 600 US dollars and about 720 Canadian dollars, I think. No, it's not anymore.
And you're how close to the beach?
From my door, walking, 10 minutes.
And is it easy walk?
It's an easy walk. There's a slight slope, but it's not a hill. It's nothing anybody has to deal with. I'm 79. I'm in good shape, reasonably. So it's okay. I have no problems.
Great.
There's 200 units in this complex, about 65% Mexican people, the rest Canadians, Americans, whoever.
And it's a gated community.
It's gated, yes, so it's very safe. I mean, I often walk Bonita, my little dog, at 11 o'clock at night, and I have nothing to worry about, nothing at all. Electricity is my my highest expense, and it ranges in the wintertime from 234 pesos, which is about $12, for 2 months, up to 3,000 pesos, which is about $150
For 2
US for 2 months because of air conditioning.
Right.
I mean, air conditioning uses all the power, right? I pay water, that's 136 pesos per month, which is $7.
Right.
And I don't have to pay my internet Wi-Fi. My landlord pays that. And I pay for gas so I can cook. And that's approximately 400 pesos per month, so about $20 a month. So I'm very happy with those sorts of expenses. They're reasonable.
And did you have to go down to CFE and places like that to get the account, or how do you pay your electricity?
The owner of this house sends me the bill by email. I pay it at OXXO. I pay all the bills at OXXO. No lineup, no nothing. And by the time I walk out the door, I have a ping on my phone that says it's been paid.
That's wonderful.
Easy peasy, no issues. I'm Canadian, and I receive Canada Pension and Old Age Security. And the combination of those two things is 1,900 Canadian dollars per month. And that's it. Can I live on that? No. So I've been eating into my savings for the past 8 years, and it's difficult. But I would say if I had about 3,000 Canadian a month, I could be fine. I would be okay. I could basically do what I want to do. I eat very well. I will not skimp on food. I go out for lunch or dinner. I go have a glass of wine or a margarita, 1, 2 or 3 times a week max. I buy my clothes at consignment shops. I love that. But I am very happy here. I love the peace. It's calm. It's tranquil. I love the people. They're very kind and helpful. So people often ask about healthcare here. And I had private health insurance for a couple of years and hardly ever used it. The deductible was $5,000 US. The most I ever had to spend was about $1,200. So, against the advice of my sons, I did away with the private health insurance. It was eating up huge amounts of money. With the assistance of a nice young Mexican fellow I know, I enrolled in EAMS, which is the public health care system here. And I don't use it very much. I've used it for certain things, and it's been very, very good. I've been very impressed. They've been kind, cooperative. My Spanish is good enough that it doesn't matter that hardly anybody there speaks English. But one thing blew me away. The wife of very close friends of mine, Mexican friends, his wife about a year and a half ago got appendicitis. And he had driven her to the small EAMS hospital here in Bucerias, and they said, we can't fix this right now. They put her in an ambulance, took her to the hospital called Altavela, number 33. She had to be in there for a few days. They did surgery. And Edgar phoned me and he said, Judith, I have to work tomorrow. Could you come and spend the day with Laura? I said, of course. So I went there. I don't know what I was expecting. Nothing much. I was blown away. This hospital is beautiful. It's maybe 5 years old. It had all the equipment, x-rays, MRIs, everything under the sun that I have seen in any hospital in the US or Canada. The quality of care was superb. She got treated royally. The thing is, there are only doctors and nurses. That's it. There's no orderlies, there's no LPNs, there's no nurses' assistants, there's nothing else unless you need actual doctor care or nurse care, which is fantastic. You have to have a family member or a friend with you 24/7 to help you to the bathroom or bring you things or bring your medications that you need.
What about food?
The food in there is very good. It's better than the food I ever experienced in the 3 times I was in a hospital in Canada having babies.
Right.
Very good. Not fancy, not elegant, not special, but healthy, which is quite amazing. And tasty. Laura had no complaints, and they run a restaurant. Yeah, because I'm 79, my fee for that is now up to, I believe, 80,000 pesos per year. So it's about $4,000 US.
And do you pay that one time?
Yeah, that's how I do it. But I think you can split it up. And I haven't had to use it, but it's there. And if I need it, I know I'm going to be looked after. I know I'm going to be taken care of. I'm happy. And if I have something sort of weird, like I've had an eye problem this year, I go to private doctors. The private doctors cost 800 pesos, 40 American dollars, but that's for a full hour. And if I had to had to go to an ophthalmologist, they charge 1,200 pesos, but it's for a full hour, and they take care of you.
So do you drive here in Mexico?
Up until very recently, I certainly did. When my husband passed away, I was scared to drive here because he did most of the driving. I was the navigator. We had come to figure out all the strange rules here, like turning left from the right-hand lane and different things that are just different from driving in Canada or the US. But I had to. So for the first year, if anybody was in the car with me, I wouldn't let them speak because I knew I had to pay total attention to everything around me. And gradually I got comfortable with it. I got comfortable with crazy drivers doing strange things like turning left from the right-hand lateral and all those things. And yes, definitely I drive here. I was in an absolutely horrendous car accident several years ago. The car I had, when I was becoming a permanent resident, you're not allowed to drive a foreign car in Mexico anymore. So I had contacted the Kia dealership in Tucson, Arizona, and they said, yeah, they'd buy my Kia. I had to drive it up there. I thought, okay, I can do this. Well, a friend of mine said, oh my God, you can't drive all the way to Tucson by yourself. And I said, why? And he said, no, I want to come with you. I said, okay, so come with me. Big deal, someone to talk to in the car. So we drove and then we stopped for lunch. He said, how about I drive for a while and you take a little snooze? I said, okay, that sounds good. So we were driving up this highway, nice highway, no problems, but there were always people in front of us going very slowly. A truck with animals in it, or a big transport truck that had 10,000 kilos too much weight on it. And he would pass them, no problem. We were coming up on this very slight slope with a curve, and he went out to pass this slow-moving vehicle, and all of a sudden, right in front of us, was a great big white transport truck coming right at us. Well, he tried to get back into the lane, and for whatever reason, the car started to sway. So he decided, good or bad, to pull over onto the shoulder on the other side of the road.
Ooh.
And the other guy, unfortunately, did not slow down and hit us head on. The car got hit, it got tipped over, it flipped over and went down into a huge ravine and flipped again and wound up luckily right side up, smoke coming out of it, and the airbag had gone off and hit me in the chest, and I could hardly breathe. Like it was like a severe asthma attack.
Wow.
And painful. I said, I can't move. He said, we have to get out. I said, I can't move. I have learned to believe in Angeles Mexicanos, because from nowhere came 4 guys, youngish Mexican guys, who had pulled over. They saw this accident. They came down into this ravine and got me, and 2 of them almost carried me up. The other 2 helped my friend. And we got up there, and there was a lady in a car with a little child. She came out and asked me in Spanish if I needed to go to the hospital. I said yes. And she asked me again in Spanish if I wanted an ambulance. I said yes. So she called an ambulance. Somebody else called the police. The police arrived. The ambulance arrived. I wound up with an injury to my chest that took maybe 2 weeks to get over, just from the airbag. Nothing broken, nothing cracked, nothing damaged.
Amazing.
And that was it.
Wow.
That's all I got. The insurance company had gone and put the car in a storage place, and and I had to go through a whole judicial court process with that, again with no English, but I brought my friend Edgar. He came to that, and eventually it took 4.5 months, but Qualitas Insurance paid out the Blue Book value on my Kia Sorento. Driving is an adventure. You cannot for a moment let your attention wander. I don't have a car now, and I miss not having a car. But Uber here works, InDrive here works, taxis work, but they're more expensive. But it's easy. And the bus system is super good and ludicrously cheap, especially if you're over 60. Like it's 8 pesos.
And it's 10 pesos if you're not over 60.
Yes. So it's all very good.
So how did you learn Spanish?
I think it was on Facebook. I found a Spanish program that was on Zoom, and I got in touch with the founder of the company. His name is Peter McCaslin. We talked back and forth. He told me about the program, and I decided to give it a try. And it was really, really good for me. I enjoyed it. Working hard with structured classes and practicing and having teachers who are native speakers made a huge difference. I've found it an immense help. Living here is very, very safe. I feel much safer here than I ever did living in Calgary, or living in Montreal, or living in Ann Arbor, Michigan, because there's always people on the streets. Like, it really doesn't matter if you're out walking at 6 in the morning or midnight, there's people all over the place. They're either going to a party, coming home from a party, coming home from work, walking their kids to school, whatever they're doing, there's always people around. There are areas, even in a small town like this, where you don't go if you have a lick of brains. But walking on the normal streets, the residential streets, where the restaurants are all lined up in a row on the beach, I feel very safe. I'm 79. I've never taken a taekwondo class. I always have my little dog with me, and she probably could bite them. But I feel safe. I do. I think this is a great place to be.